Just comb your hair, go and wash your face. It's been a real long time since you've seen the light of day. So let thoughts come as they may, feeding at the ray. Everybody all smiles when you're back in the seat again. All aboard the Petty Express to a beautiful darkness. It's full steam ahead to ride the rails to our next destination. Yeah!
Welcome everyone. Hope that you had a good little break. Let's get back onto the, trial. And welcome to the Petty Express. I am your conductress of Snark Mo. As you can see, we are back on the grind and ready to get back into the Linda Stermer trial, the defensening. I can only imagine the absolute ridiculousness that is going to be the defense case. That being said, I am not looking forward to absolute ridiculousness, and usually I'm okay with ridiculousness, which it's kind of sad that I'm not actually excited for absolute absurdity. Welcome, Paul Amos. Thank you for becoming a new member on the last stream. And KLF, welcome. And I Am Princess, welcome. So let's get back into this as we are going. So again, the judge did deny the, directed judgment. I think we were all not shocked about that. Now, that being said, we are going to get into the defense's case in chief. I do wonder if his tone is going to change. The defense attorney looks like we have Mr. Mueller doing the direct. So I do wonder if his general personality and gruffness, kind of smarminess, is going to carry over into him on direct. But let's see how. All right, defense case in chief. Let's get this party started. Usually I like overly complicated things, but that carpet is hideodorous.
You raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have a seat. And once you're settled in, we'll have you give us your full name and spell your last, please. Yep.
I'm Len McHugh, last name MC, capital H-U-G-H.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Can you tell us, back in January of '07, what were you doing for a living?
Insurance adjuster, independent insurance adjuster.
What does that involve?
I'm licensed through the state of Michigan, and I get hired by various insurance carriers to do claims for them.
Do you have a specialty in terms of claims?
I'm licensed for property and liability, casualty, and work comp, but I do mostly property.
Back in January of 2007, were you doing property in connection with this fire at the Stermer residence?
Yes, I was.
Can you explain to us, first of all, how did you get notice there's a fire and then you're going to do some adjusting?
So how we got notified of it, Farm Bureau Insurance had hired our company to start the fire assignment. It was supposed to be basically a limited assignment because the large loss adjuster from Farm Bureau was going to eventually take it over, and he didn't. So they assigned it to our company, and then I was the adjuster that was assigned by J&S Claim Service, my employer at the time.
If the fire was January 7, 2007, about what day did you first actively get involved?
I think it was January 9th is when we received it.
Did you make contact with Linda Stermer?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that?
To set up a time to go out and take photographs and start the claim process.
Tell us, if you would, the claim process. What are you doing when you're talking about going and taking photographs?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go there and determine the cost to rebuild the house, and we usually do the personal property as well. And I go out and I interview the person that I go to and take a recorded statement. Usually get a consent form from them.
That would be the owner of the house?
Yes.
You call that the insured?
Yes, we call them the insured.
Okay. So in this particular case, you're representing the homeowner's insurance, right?
Correct.
You contact Linda Stermer?
Yes.
Did you ask you anything about why you're contacting her?
Yes, she did.
What did she ask you?
She said that she was wondering why I was calling her because
Object right now, just this is hearsay, the way it's framed.
A question.
I don't know if a question
not-
is a statement or an assertion.
It is not.
So I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you.
It's a statement from Linda Stermer, Your Honor, it's hearsay.
Thank
Can
you.
it be proven true or false? How can a question be offered for the truth of the matter? So anyway, I'll overrule the objection.
Thank you. Sir?
Okay, go
What
ahead.
question did Linda ask you?
she asked me why I was contacting her.
And what did you tell her?
I said because the insurance claim was turned in for her fire.
And what did she ask you about her knowledge of whether she even had property insurance?
She,
I guess I'm just going to object. These are Linda Stermer statements. They're being offered for the truth of the matter. They're out-of-court statements. He's not a party opponent. They're hearsay.
And by definition, Your Honor, MRE 801 says a question is not hearsay. It can't be proven true or false.
Overrule the objection.
Thank you. Go ahead.
she wanted to know why I was contacting her because she thought she didn't have insurance.
She didn't even think she had property insurance.
Correct?
All right. So you ultimately do interview her
I do.
on the 9th,
On the 10th?
on the 10th? And on the 10th, you also went and inspected the house, the property?
Yes.
Are you, your personal property, is that called personal property?
Property adjuster?
Okay, all the contents, TV, sofas, whatever, clothing?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, may I approach the witness? I'm going to show you defendant's proposed exhibit N as in Nancy, and that's for you to look at that and tell us if you know what that is.
Yes, those are my photographs.
It's got 14 pages,
Photograph. Every time I do, I think of
and if you look
Nickelback.
at page 1 through 9, what date would those pictures have been taken?
January 10th, 2007.
Same day you interviewed Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
And then you came back, if I look at the last 5 pages,
Yes.
what day did you come back?
January 15th, 2007.
Okay. What's the purpose of taking pictures like this?
Is to document the file. We take pictures all the way around the exterior and then interior pictures.
Okay. You took all the pictures.
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Exhibit N.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you. What I want to do is have you just kind of describe your process and the photos as we go through them. Is that okay?
Sure.
Page number 1, what I'm going to do is I'll just go through, kind of call out the upper right corner, and you tell us what that is, and then we'll go through the picture, okay?
Okay.
What is January 10, you're the adjuster,
Yes.
and this is what? East?
What's, oh, the first picture?
Yes.
Yes, east, correct.
Okay. And before we do that, I'm going to blow this up a little bit.
For those of you who have watched ahead, does this particular adjuster have any fire, like specific fire training and or knowledge? Or is he simply an adjuster whether you have a tornado, a flood, or a fire? I guess I don't see the point of having this guy here, but we are close to the start of this.
Just so you have your bearings. What's your direction challenge? Is that your drawing you obtained?
Yes.
Where'd
I
you
did that.
obtain, you didn't obviously draw that by, on a CAD machine or something?
That's a blueprint from when the proposal was set up for the building official to authorize a permit for the house to be built.
Where'd you get the drawings?
From the building official.
Nobody prevented you from doing that? You just go down there and get a copy of drawings?
I got a copy of it. I don't remember how I got them from there.
Okay. Can anybody see over this? I'll drop it down a little. I'll just alter this. And as you can see, west is facing the back of the house,
To Kinko's.
front of the house down here, east,
Yes.
and obviously north to the right. So when we talk about directions. Okay. So this is obviously facing east, you said, just the front of the house.
Yes.
What are you doing in the first, several pictures? We're gonna go through those. What's your process?
I'm taking a picture of each side of the house.
So you're just kind of doing a walk around?
Yes.
All right. So we go to the next picture. Oops. This will be the north view. You're going to take a picture of the north side of the house.
Yes.
What are you trying to do? Just get an idea of the general nature of the damage?
Yes.
Then we go, this next one is the west, the back of the house.
Correct.
And that shows obviously the rear. It shows some little bit of debris in the back of the house.
Yes.
Do you know who's been there before you?
Not for sure who was there.
If this is January 10, were you aware that Scott Leroy, the fire marshal, had been there on the 8th?
I don't know.
You're just taking pictures.
I'm taking pictures. Yes.
Same thing going walking around.
Yes.
South would be the left side of the house.
I think these are more foundational.
Yes.
Okay. And then I want to show you this third page, your picture, number 5. It says, view of debris, photo taken from where?
Taken from the east side of the dwelling into the main level.
So this is depicting a photo coming from the right side of the house?
I
East
think
side?
the front's the east. I think it's probably from the front door.
Okay.
Probably looking in the front. I didn't go in the house that much. It wasn't safe.
Why did you not go into the house on January 10th? The first day you're there?
If I did go in the house, I was just barely inside the doors, but it's not safe. Don't want to fall through the floors.
Not safe because there's too much debris all around?
Well, you don't want to fall in the basement.
Did you have some idea as you walked around that the first floor had all collapsed into the basement?
When I first walked around, no, I didn't have. I did when I walked up to it and looked in the front door, then I can see that it was not safe to walk in there.
Okay. This is just a picture of the general debris you're seeing as you're looking through the front door?
Yes.
Y'all, is anyone getting the sinking feeling that we have the faintest foggy flapjack where we're going with this? Because again, we have seen about a gajillion and 27,033 and a half of pictures of this same house. Now, and that debris pile was a close-up, so how are we to ascertain the actual size of the debris pile if, again, you want to go after Mr., Leroy, the state fire investigator? And why are we asking this man why he didn't go into the gutted ruins of a house? I mean, he only said it was unsafe twice, and then you're like, but you didn't go inside? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, why not? I can't imagine why. I mean, if it was my youngest, most feral, probably he would not hesitate, but...
And then view of debris, can you read that for me, this photo?
Taken from the east side of the dwelling, looking into the first level.
Okay. And that's a little hard to see because it's just a copy, but it's just more of the debris that's all through this house.
Yes.
Okay.
What the hell are these pictures?
Well, I don't want to look at these. This is view of debris outside the west side of the walkout basement, which would have been the back, where the bay window is.
Correct.
All right. And what is it on January 10 you're trying to depict here?
I'm just taking a picture of whatever's outside the house.
Okay. Just a few pieces of pipe, as far as you can see?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I just took pictures of the debris.
Okay.
I didn't know if it was going to be personal property items or not.
And you don't know who put it there?
No clue.
Photo 8.
Again, I ask my lovely, loyal, beautiful chat, where in the faintest foggy flapjack are we going?
Continuation of the prior photo on the west side of the walkout basement. So the first one was on this side. This shows a little bit more debris.
Correct.
All right. If I circle, try to see if I can blow this up a little bit. Do you know what that is?
It looks like a mattress box spring.
And do you have any idea what these are here, the metal and the spring?
I'm not sure. It could be a couch.
Go to the next picture. View of the basement rec living room facing southwest. So if we go to our again, this is already previously admitted exhibit O, another drawing you would see
Okay.
from the building department. And if you help orient us, that's looking from where to where?
View of basement, rec, living room facing southwest.
Do you know where you are?
I'd probably be right at the bump out right there, more than likely, facing southwest.
Not all the time, but generally
Facing
my
this way,
location.
looking from where?
Not somewhere in that room.
Okay.
I couldn't
You
tell you
weren't
if I
really-
was, if I walked along the wall and got in there, but I didn't go in there that much, that very far.
You didn't get into the house, into the main area, right? Because of danger, you said?
That's the basement area.
Right.
If I would have went in the house, it would have been in the basement only.
But did you, you said you
wanna
didn't
go
get
to
in
the
very far
danger
for safety?
zone.
Correct.
Okay. Same thing, facing northeast along the north wall. So north wall facing northeast.
Okay, not for nothing, y'all, but if I'm a juror, I am sitting here silently stewing because I have already seen these GD pictures. I have, in fact, seen a quantitative amount of pictures. I think that this could be called cumulative because, honest to God, we have seen 873 pages of these photos through 74 witnesses. Excuse me. I have my favorites. I don't know. He wasn't an insurance investigator. He's an adjuster. I mean, I guess they go out and take photos, but like he's going to know what a hunk of metal is. Unless they were going to run forensical tests on the recliner. I just generally understand what we're trying to get out of a witness, strategery or, just evidence-wise. And I got nothing.
This is just more rubble you're seeing, just
Yes.
trying to get an idea.
Yeah. Probably doing a panoramic around the room. Probably what I'm
Okay.
doing.
Next picture, number 11. You actually got into the laundry room, or were you taking pictures through windows?
I couldn't tell you for sure if I zoomed my camera in on those or I was in near
He's
the
like,
laundry room.
actually,
I could have been.
Mr. Lawyer, I often take pictures of people through windows. I mean, oops. No, I'm just kidding. That's what I would have answered. This is why I will never be a witness, but I will be a great smartass. I will also be in contempt.
In the house.
And the laundry room was over here on the south side?
Yeah, I probably took a picture from the doorway.
Come to my window.
Same thing, view of the basement bathroom facing east.
Come on inside. Wait by the light of the arson.
Basement bathroom is in the southeast corner of the house? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Page 11, fallen framing from the basement bathroom facing north toward the utility room. What do you mean fallen framing?
Which picture? Which picture?
I believe it's 11. Let me go back. I think it's 11.
It's a turlet. And
Number
it's not
13,
even
my
in the
fault.
front yard.
Where are we here?
That is a good question. And Mr. Mueller, I hope you find yourself, because I is lost too.
Facing north towards the utility room, so must be in the bathroom down in the southeast corner.
You're actually taking a picture of the stuff in the bathroom?
Looks like it.
Number 14, More fallen framing in the basement bedroom. Do you know which bedroom it was?
No.
Okay. Safe to say there's debris scattered all over this
Correct.
whole area?
Yes.
It was a bit of a mess. You could say
15, a
that.
view from the basement facing northeast. So that'd be the lower left corner of our drawing. Northeast,
Okay.
yes?
Yes.
All right.
I mean, sure.
And that shows, what are you trying to show here? Do you see this green? Are these shingles from the roof?
What picture is that?
And on 14?
Can we try it
Looks
at
like shingles from the roof.
1.5?
Okay. And then picture 16, view of debris in the basement bedroom. And that's all framing that has fallen down?
Yes.
So those are the pictures you took on January 10. Then you came back.
Yes, I did.
Why'd you come back? Oh, I'm in 17 now, one more page.
Classy.
View of debris in the
Very
basement bedroom again,
classy.
just more of the same, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you come back on the 15th. Have you coordinated with anybody to come back?
Yes, they were gonna dig the fire out, I think with an excavator, so I was there just to look at contents, personal property.
Who are you dealing with?
Whoever the cause of the person was.
Do you recall the name Jim Shinsky?
Yes.
Have you ever worked with him before?
Yes.
All right, so do you remember he was out there?
Yes.
And did he bring the excavator?
I don't think he did. He probably had a subcontractor
Right.
out there.
But he arranged for it as far as you knew?
Yes.
There was an excavator there, right?
They were gonna dig it out, and that's why I was there.
Okay. Dig it out, you mean excavate.
Excavate so they can get in there. I think it was frozen.
Do you recall that big excavator?
Oh my God, why do we keep asking 9 questions that are the same? So was he going to excavate? Yes, he was going to excavate. So there was an excavator? Yes, he had an escalator. Oh, so he had an Escalade? Yes, he had lemonade. Tiny baby Jesus, give me strength.
Knocking down walls of the house so people could get in?
No.
You don't remember that?
No, I just took the pictures of the inside of it.
You know, I will say I like making apple pies. I don't like eating apple pies. So now, had you said, I do want to try a banoffee pie, which is odd because I really don't like bananas, but it looks like it has just enough caramel to overlay that caramel, or the caramel will take over most of the banana flavor. Okay, for those of you who have watched ahead, is it all like this? I was waiting for this like badass defense, you know, this Billy badass defense coming up here to save little old Linda. The alternating DV victim, not DV victim, not cheater, cheater, and also didn't do nothing to no one, but also ran over my husband. She really is a complicated person. She's a Pisces. I'm just kidding. I don't know when she was born, nor do I care to.
Okay. If we look at that first picture, debris in the southwest corner of the living room, southwest, facing south. Facing this way, so you're standing somewhere taking a picture toward the south and the southwest corner
Yes.
of the whole living room area? Yes?
Yes.
And that's what you're seeing?
Yes.
Same thing, view the contents in the basement laundry room. Now we're back in the laundry room on the south side, right?
Yes.
South side. Represent.
Can you tell what you're seeing, or just a bunch of rubble?
Not a clue, really.
I'm not sure what it is.
Okay. Picture 3, a view of the southeast corner of the basement bathroom. The bathroom's down here in the lower left corner, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, he's
More rubble in every single room, right?
Correct.
this man has caught pregnant pausitis. Now I can tell you that real pregnancies are not contagious. I mean, well, not technically. That being said, I think that Detective Wolf Mueller has caught Shatneritis.
View the basement utility room. As we saw, the utility room.
I can't sit through
is
another 3 weeks
Right here
of
at the
snow.
bottom, or would have been underneath the front of the house.
Yes, I've been on the front.
We're getting toward the end here, but photograph 5, the basement closet behind the fireplace, facing north. So you are behind the fireplace. Behind the fireplace, facing north, taking a photograph toward the right side of the house.
Yeah, it's the lower half of the closet.
Oh.
Bottom half of the closet.
Okay.
The next one's the upper half.
Then photo 6, same thing, right?
Yes.
More of the same?
Yeah.
We'll skip over that. Now, your content, you're looking for personal property,
Yes,
furniture, TV, clothes, anything.
yes.
View debris in the basement facing northeast.
But wait, was there debris in the basement? I needs to know.
Right?
Well, Courtney Love has been there.
And looks like a frying pan of some sort.
Yes.
And some clothes, and looks like
Holy shit, dude. Okay, so this, if you guys are new to this trial, the state's first sort of theory of how Linda incapacitated Todd was that she hit him about the head with a frying pan or a pan, a skillet, maybe cast iron, like it would, survive during fire. Dude, why, if that was the state's allegation, would you even put up a picture with a skillet on there? Because it has been introduced that the theory the state had, and I do believe in front of the jury, that, it was a skillet or some kind of object. Again, okay. Now, maybe I'm the only one that makes the connection. I'm just saying, it's kind of poetic justice if the only thing that survived the fire was the skillet that Linda, basically a murder weapon, if you will. In my headcanon, that's how she done it, and the skillet lived to tell the tale.
cards, maybe? Yes?
Cards. Next picture, cards, yes.
Oh, okay. So this next picture, the last page, actually almost the last page, photograph 9, view of sports cards in the basement utility room facing east. So you were able to find some personal property, right?
Yes.
That you had been looking for,
Yes.
including a bunch of baseball cards and debris, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also you found some record albums?
Yes.
Oh, well, save the Burt Baccarat and, the, copy of Bill Cosby's greatest comedy hits. We wouldn't want to lose that. Real treasure. Also, the Toto.
And that's the end of the photograph. So you found some, but safe to say, there's been a description that there was 2 feet of rubble in the basement from everything falling down. Based on your inspection, would you agree with that? There was a lot of debris throughout.
There's a lot of debris. There always is.
Okay. No more questions for this witness. Thank you, Your Honor. Your witness. Let me shut this down.
Okay. Did I miss something? What the hell was his purpose for being here? I mean, what has he added that other witnesses haven't already expounded on to the point of being egregiously ADHD-inducing panic hysteria? I have my favorites. I saw a lot of pictures of blackened and maybe a bit charred stuff. I could be smoky smelling, and a bit of cleaning may be necessary. We can maybe make it work right. Yeah. I wish we could. For a guy that may be questionable, I did love his little thing about, my dad calls me, JC, and my brother is GD. I always thought that was funny. That being said, well, he is the reason they no longer make pudding pops, and I loved pudding pops, so Mr. Cosby, I'm still mad at you.
Mr. McHugh, you worked with Mr. Shinsky, is that correct?
He was an independent cause and origin person who's retired from Michigan State Police. I met him back when he worked for the state police.
Did you also then work with this investigation with Mr. Willison?
I attended a deposition one time.
So you were present at some point when Mr. Willison interviewed?
Yes.
And you said that was a deposition?
That was a deposition on, I believe, one of her sons.
And you mentioned that you knew Sergeant Leroy, you knew him prior to this?
Yes.
Is it common for law enforcement and the insurance companies to share information?
I think they can do an FM 64 and they can get our file. They can give us information, but we don't get their file. They can just be in our file.
So you give your information to them if they ask for it?
Yes, with that form. I think it's FM 64.
So they just fill out a form and then you give your information to them?
They send it to the insurance company and then they release it from there. We don't, as an independent adjusting company, we don't release that.
And you said you actually then spoke to Ms. Stermer on the 10th and the 15th?
On the 10th.
On the 10th. The 15th, was that just the day you went to take pictures?
Yes.
Okay. So just on the 10th you spoke to Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
And,
I did speak to her another day, but I don't know what day it was.
okay, was that an actual transcribed statement on a different day?
No, on the 10th.
Cue the defense. Aren't you supposed to make detailed documentation so that, you know, those of us who weren't at the scene can also look at it later in court? Well, isn't it important to be accurate? You don't want speculation. I mean, if this witness had led us anywhere new, I think that, you know, I would be needling, but at this point, I really don't understand the purpose of this witness.
10th, I took a recorded statement from her, took these photos, and then I met with her later after I wrote the estimate up and we walked through the things in the various rooms.
So, oh, go ahead.
In reference, because the house was not 100% complete, so we had to go through and maybe some rooms didn't have carpet, some rooms didn't have trim, and as we walked through that.
So is it an accurate statement when I say that most of your interview with her was about personal items in the home?
Basically, the interview was mostly what room was each one and what was in the rooms. That was a lot of our statement. And at the end, I talked about what happened that night.
And I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But most of it was concerning then about the rooms and the contents and what was finished in each room?
Yes.
And you don't know how any of the debris got in certain areas of the house, do you?
No.
And so on one of those pictures, I believe on picture number 9, you could just take a look at that. I believe that one showed some cards.
From
Baseball
what date?
cards,
What
cards.
date? The 10th or the 15th?
That would have been on the 15th.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
And you testified that those were some sort of cards.
Sports cards, more than likely,
And where were those found?
in the basement.
And then I want to have you take a look at then what you stated on picture 8 on the 15th. And
Okay.
I believe there was something of a reference to a frying pan.
That's what it looks like. It's like a frying pan in the bottom of the picture.
And what's that picture? What room?
And, you know, you knew the prosecution was going to step right up and take that slow pitch that the defense threw out. Now, unless that was a trap to, you know, I don't know, maybe get the state to fall into it, I don't think they realized that that was a picture with a frying pan in it. Now, it seems like something you would notice if your client was, you know, previously accused of bashing her husband on the head with a frying pan and setting him alight and then running him over. But, you know, details.
Room is that?
That's also in the basement,
And what room in the basement?
in the utility room.
So there's a frying pan in the utility room,
Yes.
and that's immediately adjacent to the laundry room. Is that correct? According to the drawing that's been
Yes.
submitted?
Yes.
Very interesting point.
So you didn't go into the home to actually take a lot of the pictures?
Well, the house was obviously a total loss. So
Well, Mr. Moe is not feeling good. It thinks he might be getting a cold. He didn't realize he also took the nighttime cold medicine today during the day, which might be why he's not feeling altogether great. So Thor is giving his special brand of unconsensual cuddling and smothering to Mr. Moe because he's a giver. Also, Mr. Moe is wearing dark colors and Thor has to get his hair on all of my dark colors.
So I was trying to see how many personal property photos I could take. So when she turned her inventory, and then I could see that some of the stuff was visible. Usually in these type of claims, there's not much visible, and you just have to go by what they're putting down.
So most of the pictures were taken then were you outside of the house?
Some were outside. Looks like I may have been inside a little bit, but not I'm not going under the debris that's hanging down or where I can't get into the rooms. That's why some of those are, like from the bedroom, there's only one picture of the bedroom. I'm not going to crawl over debris to go take a picture in the opposite direction.
And you said the only place that you did step into was into the basement area?
Yes.
And you couldn't go into the first floor?
According to the pictures, it looks like that was already collapsing down.
So was there anything left of that first floor?
Not much.
Foundation.
I'm just asking about his pictures, Your Honor, and why they go in.
A lot of it collapsed into the basement.
In your conversation where you were talking then with Ms. Stermer the first time on the 10th, did she tell you she had received some life insurance?
Yeah, she's had 2 policies.
And she received some money?
She said that there was 2 life insurance policies. I don't know if she received any monies or not.
She just stated she had some.
Yes, I believe I asked her.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about when you change gears from talking about personal items into talking about the actual incident. So when did you then start talking to her about what actually happened?
What I did is I recorded our conversation with a cassette tape. I had to flip the tape over, and that's when it ran out on the transcribed statement. So I wanted to find out more about the house because Farm Bureau already had hired someone to do the cause and origin. So my focus was the claim itself, the insurance portion of it. And then I asked her at the end of what happened.
So you waited until the end after
Yes.
you'd gone through all the personal items. What was Ms. Stermer's demeanor during this interview?
She was very calm,
Was she anxious in any way?
very cooperative.
And that was why you were going through then the contents of the house?
Yes.
Did she show any emotion as you were going through the contents of the house?
The only time she showed emotion when I asked her if she ran her husband over with the van. And she
And when
showed
was-
some emotion there. That was it.
So she only showed emotion at the very end when you asked a question?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, what was the question you asked?
If she knew if she ran her husband over with the van.
And what did she say?
Oh my gosh, the state absolutely, the F knew what he said. She's like, excuse me, can you just whisper that in my ear again? Just a little louder. I'm slightly deaf. State. Petty respects petty. And ma'am, thank you for using petty powers for good.
She said, I don't know, but I thought she was going to start crying when I asked her that.
So that was the only time she showed emotion?
Did I recall?
When you were talking to her about the house and the incident, not the personal items, but the actual incident, did she talk to you about her husband Todd?
Just that he owned a business, and he sold, I don't know, gloves or something. That's what he did.
Did she talk to
He
you
was
about...
self-employed.
Self-employed. Did she talk to you about any potential actions that would have caused the fire?
Not that I recall.
Anything that Todd did?
About the fuel oil line you're talking about, that you're asking me?
What did she talk to you about with the fuel oil line?
That he had bled the fuel oil line the night before or the day before. There was air in the line.
And she said that that would have been a potential cause?
No, she just told me that there was fuel oil on his clothes.
She told you there was fuel oil on his clothes?
He may have got fuel oil on his clothes from doing that.
Thank you. Just a few questions, sir. When you interviewed her, she was completely cooperative, right?
Correct?
Answered every one of your questions?
Yes.
Didn't fight you on any questions?
No.
You understand, were you aware she was in the middle of making funeral arrangements that week?
I was when I called her. She was at a funeral home, I believe, in one of my reports.
When you
Again, for the last time, if you are an asshole and then you suddenly lose a spouse, you will be a widower or a widow, but it will not change the base character that you have. So if you are a generally goodish person, yes, your base character doesn't change. You do add another layer to your character, another label to you. Why? Well, he is an insurance adjuster, and I haven't gotten the foggiest flapjack why he was a witness, other than the fact that he took pictures of, yeah, Mr. Moe is under the weather, and he accidentally took nighttime cold medicine instead of daytimes today, so he's really dragging, so not good. Thor is downstairs doing nanny and unconsensual cuddling to help him feel better. Thor likes to give his cat hair. Touche. Touche. Is it just me, or you guys, has she aged like 30 years? 30 years since her sons testified. Now, he's an insurance adjuster where we basically saw a bunch of blurry pictures of debris that we have already seen 170,000 times. So he was kind of just there. He wasn't investigating the origin or, all of that. He was just there to, we had a couch and a doodad and this in this room and that kind of thing. Now, state elicited that the only time that Linda showed emotion was when she was asked if she had run over her husband, according to this witness. Now, the defense again is going with, she's a widow. Don't you feel bad? Don't talk bad about widows and orphans. Again, it's just a different label. It doesn't change your base character. So if you were a conniving, deceiving, cheating hoe beforehand, you're just a widow who is also a lying, deceiving, conniving hoe. See how it is? It's just another descriptor at the beginning, not at the end. The more you know.
Say she was calm, you could also describe her as numb.
Probably, yes.
And finally, this idea of fuel oil lines. She was just suggesting, I don't know, maybe he had fuel oil on his clothes.
Yes, she told me that.
And you didn't get the impression she knew he had fuel oil on his clothes.
Well, she mentioned that he was bleeding he had air in the line or something, and he may have got fuel on his clothes, and there may be fuel oil in the washing machine. He may have washed his clothes.
She was just kind of speculating.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Just one last question, Your Honor. When you're looking at these two drawings, so this is the basement, this is the first floor, correct?
Correct.
If I lay them on top of each other, is that accurate? Like in terms of how the house was built?
The other way around.
The other way around?
Yes.
Isn't it? So when I'm
Okay.
looking, like what's above the utility room and the laundry room?
What's above the utility room is the foyer,
The foyer
front door foyer, yeah.
is above the utility room?
Yep, and looks like part of the office as well, and the guest bath.
And then what would be then on top of the laundry and the bath?
The master bath and the office.
So the kitchen is not anywhere near the laundry and the utility room?
No.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Yes, you don't know in the chaos how anything got anywhere in this whole house full of debris and rubble in a collapse of a fire, right?
Usually everything falls down.
But you don't know how anything or where anything was or anything, right?
No.
Thank you.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, do you have any questions of this witness? No? Maybe excuse me, Zubina, these other ones?
No objection.
Yes, I'll take that and ask that he be excused.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Mueller? Or Mr. Kelly?
Mr. Kelly will take care of this.
Okay.
Oh, God, no.
Your Honor, can we just approach a minute?
You may.
Thank you.
Well, I remember it from Sarah Boone reminding us to fight for justice for widows and orphans in Sarah Boone. It was an add-on to the Book of Timothy in the version that Sarah Boone wrote in with magic marker. Well, that's the other thing. Wouldn't that bother your skin? I mean, even if it's your leg skin, I mean, having fuel all over it, being kind of
Doesn't matter.
saturated, the smell.
You can take her back out? Okay. We have a short matter to address, so it should be about a 10-minute break, okay? Thank you, jury.
It's a sidebar. We are on a sidebar. Oh, looks we get to hear this one. Woohoo! So exciting.
Short break?
Your Honor, I appreciate you allowing me to announce here.
Your Honor, sorry. I expected Mr. Tranquil will testify this afternoon.
Okay.
There are 3 videos that the defense at least tenders exhibits. I don't know if they intend to play them or not, but I'm going to raise objections to those being played for the jury.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to handle those now or wait till he's on the witness stand, but I don't want the jury to see any of them. So, in addition, there's some hearsay that contained in one of the videos too, if the court even allows them to play.
What are
So
the,
the objection is to our videos.
Yes.
If I may explain, Your Honor, we have 3 videos and we can
Ms. Ida, did you want to go?
Thank you. Do you mind?
Yeah, leave this to Mr. Blair.
Thank you, Your Honor.
They are test videos that Mr. Tranquil made. They're demonstrative exhibits to illustrate, one, how fire progresses. He's responsible for that. Two,
Sorry.
there are two tests of 100% polyester sweatpants, which he's going to testify because clearly, I don't know where the physical evidence went, but those gray sweatpants are 100% polyester. And he's going to be able to show what happens if you have gasoline, 2 ounces, how it burns, and if you don't have gasoline, how it burns. He's the one who made the videos, set it up, and they're demonstrative exhibits to aid the testimony. They're clearly admissible. He's the person laying the foundation for them. They're clearly relevant because we're talking about 100% polyester sweatpants, which are exemplars of the sweatpants worn by Mr. Stermer.
Is it just a silent video that he'll be explaining, or is
Yep.
there someone else talking
No,
in the
just
video?
silent.
There's a voice at the end of one of the videos. You can literally hear the person go, see, Todd Stermer would have been burned if he'd been wearing those sweatpants.
Oh.
We
And that's a
will make
voice in the
sure
video?
that is, there won't be any audio. I think we can do that through the system, right?
Yeah, I agree that what you just
No.
described, Mr. Blair, should not come before the
We
jury.
can mute any audio.
I don't know how we get it back to the jury.
But yeah, how do you get it back?
Because I'll just delete it out before the jury gets the case. I can have that done today.
Okay, well,
But
just,
here's my issue with the relevance of these videos.
Okay.
I may respond. It is not an entire pair of sweatpants, number one. It is a cutoff pair, like a pair of shorts. They're stapled to a wooden pole in what appears to be a driveway outside. They're lit with one of them's lit with they try to light it with a match without gasoline. Then the other photograph, Mr. Tranquil, I presume, stands there, chucks a cup of gasoline on them, and then throws a match at them and lights them. These are misleading videos that are trying to show, because we don't know what the condition of Todd Stermer's sweatpants were. They certainly weren't cut-off sweatpants. They certainly weren't stapled to a wooden pole in a driveway, and they certainly weren't outside. So there's a lot of misleading detail in these videos, and I was only provided videos. I was never provided a report attached to those videos that described anything that was going on here. I've never been provided a report from Mr. Tranquil in this case at all.
Oh, yes, you have, sir.
No, I was told that his testimony would be consistent with the habeas corpus testimony. That is what I was told it would be, and that's on your discovery response.
We have a report.
okay, we're here to talk about the video.
Here, let me
so-
just address the video. As the court is aware, there is a completely different
Yes,
standard
the
between
court is aware.
recreating an accident, let's say just a car accident, and a videotape to illustrate general principles. This is the latter. We didn't attempt to recreate this burn injury, one, because it didn't happen with gasoline, so it couldn't be, and we don't have to have substantially similar circumstances. It is to illustrate principles, and the other one is the video just to show how fire dynamics happen when you start a fire, how fire rises.
So
So
this is
it goes to weight.
so this is just demonstrative, so
100%
it's not
demonstrative.
going back to the jury.
I think it's a demonstrative exhibit that is admissible and should go back to the jury. Just like in any type of product liability case where you have crash videos or whatever that might be made, it's still admissible and can go back to the jury. Doesn't have to be substantially similar. And I believe the case is Lopez versus General Motors. I'm happy to give you a cite if you'd like.
Mr. Blair?
But it has to be based on the problem I have with this, Judge, is they're using polyester sweatpants like they are saying Mr. Stermer was wearing, but they're not even whole pants. They're cut-ups. It's outside. There's no scientific reliability to any of this. The conditions are wholly different, and it's just here to mislead the jury to say, well, Mr. Stermer's sweatpants should have burned because he had gasoline on because he was in the fire. But it's just here to mislead the facts of what could be because there's so many variables.
Well, but you don't know exactly how it started, right? I mean,
No, but the problem with this is, again, these aren't even a proper exemplar of the pants. They're not even the whole pant. They're a pair of shorts hung loosely on a post outside in the driveway.
We are demonstrating how polyester melts. That's the principle.
why the shorts instead of long pants?
Just because that's how the test, that goes to the weight. It doesn't matter. When polyester burns, it melts, whether it's shorts or long sweats.
And I have my favorites, Tammy Cruz. Yes, my sister-in-law worked in frack and field. Chemicals used are awful. He would have to leave his clothes in the laundry room to get washed, then go directly to get a shower so he would clean his skin. Yeah, I would think that not having that on your skin would be really bothersome. And then polyester sweatpants. Well, yeah, but maybe they couldn't afford 100% cotton. I mean, Linda had the horses, and she loved horses. I don't know who else she loved other than herself, but she did love horses.
How long is the video?
I think it's 2 minutes, maybe less. But I'd cite the case of Lopez versus General Motors Corp., 224 Mishap 618, and that's a 1997 case.
You said
There is also
Lopez versus what?
Pardon?
Lopez v.
Versus
what?
General Motors. You want that cite again, Your Honor?
224 in the shaft, 618?
618 at 1997 case, and then I'll cite People versus Unger, 278 Mishap 10 at 248. I can give you the Northwest site, 749 Northwest 2nd, 272. That's a 2008 case where the court stated, in Michigan, demonstrative evidence is admissible when it aids the fact finder in reaching a conclusion on a matter that is material to the case. Clearly, the issue of whether Todd Stermer's pants
Why is Randy Newman in the courtroom? I half expect him to start singing, "You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me." When you're something, something, I forget the words. Yeah, it was a kick to the heart. I mean, but those young men turned into really strong young men, again, to face down Linda, your own personal demon. And I 100% believe those boys were being honest. Now, maybe it's my emotions and my uterus and all that stuff, but I did use other logical stuff and, you know, their way they were sitting, the unity in their stories, things like that. Oh, thanks, KLF. I've forgotten. I haven't read the... Oh, only when I'm super tipsy.
Would have burned because of gasoline is material to the case. It is the linchpin of Mr. Leroy's position that there must have been gasoline in the house and in the living room because his pants tested positive for gasoline. So the real question would be, if that was true, why didn't they burn? Because, and when they do get gasoline on them, they melt. And any questions that Mr. Blair has, that goes to the weight, not admissibility.
Counsel, I'm going to go look up the cases cited. Have you been advised of the cases he's citing yet, Mr. Blair?
Only the one that was just cited, but the other video, Your Honor, I guess we have of this test burn, it's burning a storage unit, not a house, not anything else. I don't see how, other than to show how fire progresses, but it's completely different construction, completely different. It's got cardboard boxes all over the place in it. It has no relevance at all. I understand that he's saying it's to show how fire progresses, but in a storage.
I will probably not be streaming later tonight. It is Wednesday, and technically Mr. Mo would be home around about 5:36. So I will be going to 5:30 or 6, and then we will probably finish up whatever of day 8 we have. It looks like Karen Reed might actually get a jury. So, oh my goodness, we might be starting Karen Reed soon. Oh, no tipsy later tonight. Well, seeing as Mr. Mo isn't feeling good, I'm probably going to cook him some dinner or go out and get him whatever he wants. And since he's usually the one taking care of me, I can try to take care of him for a little bit. Probably. So it is our date night, which means that we will be sitting down and watching the Great British Baking Show.
Storage unit with boxes? I mean, I don't see how that's relevant at all to this case.
It is not substantially similar to the incident. It's not designed to be. It's designed to show fire dynamics, which is a fundamental principle of fire investigation. How does fire behave? And it's clearly part of NFPA 921, which is what Mr. Leroy said is the guiding principle.
Okay, let me go look at the
Thank
cases
you.
quickly.
Alrighty. And we are on afternoon break. From what it looks like, let me see.
Counsel, we're back on the record. Is it possible, I still have one more case I want to look up that Mr. Gallmeier is
Three
finding
new
for me right now.
candidates selected today
Can
for
we
a
call this other
total-
witness?
For a total of 15, okay, wait. 15 candidates selected today for a total of 15 seats filled, 8 men, 7 women. The number of jury candidates were just sent home without being questioned due to time. So there you go. That's the latest.
Witness
Sure.
first and then address the video. I may want to watch the videos too, which might mean we have to end early or something, or go take witnesses out of order or something. So we'll see. How long are they combined, the two videos?
I would say they're less than 10 minutes, Mr. Lord, the two of the witness.
Oh, for sure.
10 minutes combined?
All three are less than 10 minutes.
What's the third one again?
Third one is this fire dynamics video. Where
Yeah.
We ignited some
That's the-
what's called common combustibles, and you see how fire spreads, how it goes out along the ceiling, and how quickly a fire
Is
develops.
that the shed? Did we have this one in the Dauber hearing?
No.
Okay. Is this the shed one?
It's a storage unit.
Storage unit? So
Yes.
we've got the storage unit one, we've got the polyester pants, and what's the other one?
There are two videos involving the polyester.
Okay. Okay, so how about we'll get this other witness on, and then I'll watch the videos.
Oh, we're gonna watch it off.
I'm thinking I'd like to watch them outside the presence of the jury before I rule, just to see what's in them, if they're not too long.
They're not.
Okay. But maybe we can call this up, Mr. Kelly, the witness that you walked in, and do that first?
I think it's fair to handle, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So, we're going to bring the jurors back in, and then you can talk about it. Mr. Kelly, you may call your next witness.
Oh, Lord, this man. Graybeard, the tree end.
Ma'am, if you come forward, please. This way. If you raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and
She is walking in, and I know I have that jacked up to 1.5, but the way she walked in, her shoulders up around her ears, she's very curled in. I do wonder if, I mean, this seems like she didn't want to be here. And thank you so much, Melissa816. Mo has kept me entertained with this trial. I keep meaning to leave her a comment. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And oh, I mocked Randy Newman and sent it to you. Thank you. I'll have to listen to it after I'm done streaming. For some reason, my computer won't play my Twitter things. I don't know. Look, I want to ask Mr. Mo about it, but he's sick, so I'm going to be kind and leave all of my computer issues till later. Oh, so this is going to be Cassandra Krigg, a Stermer family friend. Now, I don't know if that means Stermer as in Todd Stermer or Stermer as in Linda Stermer.
nothing but the truth? Okay, why don't you have a seat on the stand there? And then if you could move the microphone so it's right in front of your mouth so the jury can hear you. And then once you're settled in there, tell us your full name and spell your last, please.
My name is Cassandra Grigg, Grigg.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Grigg, would you explain how you know well, let me just strike. Do you know the Stermers?
Yes, I do.
Do you know Mr. Todd Stermer?
Yes, I do.
Do you know Linda Stermer?
Yes, I do.
Did you know the children?
Is
Yes, all
breathing
five.
into the mic.
Could you briefly explain how your knowledge of the Stermers became?
I was friends with someone who lived down the street from them, and I was introduced to her and started babysitting. When I was 15, I moved in with her and Todd for a while, and we've always been friends since. She then turned around and babysat my 3 oldest kids for me while I was working. Her daughter lived with me for a while. Like, we've just always been family.
And you stated that you lived in the home with the Stermers when you was age 15?
Yes,
And how long did you live with them?
I believe 2 years.
Okay. And from the period of time of, if we go back to 2004 to 2007, did you spend a lot of time with the Stermers during that period of time?
Correct. I saw them every Friday and every Monday.
And what was the occasion for Fridays and Mondays?
I worked the weekend, 12-hour shifts from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it was easiest, as I stated, Linda did babysit for me, to take my kids out on Friday night and then come back and pick them up on Monday.
And
Sorry, I was...
the house that burned down, had you been to that house during the time that Mr. Stermer was building the home?
Yes.
Did you spend time over there after they had moved into the home?
Yes.
Okay. And can you briefly describe the status of the conditions of the house as it was, when they moved in? And would it be fair to say that it was not completed when they moved in? Is that right?
The house was never completed, no.
Okay. What was the basement like?
The basement had a slider door to it. There was a fireplace. Laundry was downstairs. It's where my kids, they spent the most time downstairs in the basement.
Do you recall whether or not the floor of the basement was concrete or not?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. And what about the living area? Were you familiar with the living area of the home?
Correct. Nothing was finished in the house. All the flooring throughout was like board, OSB board. You could see some of the installation around the windows. In the living room upstairs, there was a slider door, but there was no deck or anything attached to it. The fireplace upstairs didn't have any drywall on it or anything. It was all board. Todd did complete the ceiling in there. He put these, I don't know what they're called. He said it was walnut and they look like wood planks. He used that and, oops, I'm sorry, and completed the ceiling with that.
The fireplace, was it a fireplace in the living area?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall how the fireplace in the living area was situated and how it was, what it was surrounded with?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, the fireplace in the living area. Did the walls on the fireplace in the living area, were they completed?
No, they were all board. There was no drywall on them. They were all boarded, like the OSB boards
Around the fireplace?
around the fireplace
In the living area?
in the living area.
And was there a fireplace in the basement?
Correct, yes.
And was the fireplace in the basement, was it completed?
No,
Was the wall similar to the same as was in the living area?
yes.
Were you ever there when they were using the fireplace in the wintertime?
Yeah, the basement fireplace was used often.
Okay.
But so can I, so.
There's the driveway of the house, when you come in off the road. What was the conditions that you recall in reference to the driveway into the property? Was it gravel?
It was, depends on which areas of the driveway, but yeah, it was like clay with some stone.
Okay.
The further closer you got to the house where the more vehicles parked, it was just all like clay. And any kind of wetness, a light rain, a light snow, would make it very, very slick.
To park or to
To park.
drive in? Is that right?
Yeah.
Had you ever experienced that yourself as far as driving on the property?
Yeah, my car had gotten stuck several times. I started parking down in the back of the house for that reason.
And when did Ms. Stermer start babysitting for you?
2005.
2005? Okay.
Yes,
Your
JKD
experience
Buck,
around
this
the
is the
family,
defense.
did you get a feeling that the boys, the mother and the father and the daughters got along good?
For the most part. I mean, they're family, so they squabbled some, but they all got along.
Okay. Were you familiar with any of the storage area that they kept some of their valuables in?
I'm not familiar with that.
You wasn't
I
familiar?
was told there was one, but I've not.
You never
really-
went out there?
I don't believe so.
Did you ever go back to the house after the house was burned to assist with anything?
I went one time with Linda when she was looking for her wedding band.
And you was there with her?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Do you know whether or not you all found it?
No, we didn't.
Why does it matter if you find your wedding band? You were cheating. You were stepping out and you brought, discount, Nick Fury out to the marital home where you runned over your husband. But you wanted to find your wedding band because it was sacred to you. Make it make sense, Linda. Just make it make sense. I really don't care what the lie is. I just need it to make sense.
From your experience, did this home, based upon what you had observed, did it seem like it was going to be the ultimate home for?
I'm going to object. It's speculation. It's leading.
Any response?
Big pardon?
Any response?
My response is, I'm just asking her, what did she see or what did you hear?
Did he just say asked it her or asking her?
In reference to the home itself from Mr. Stermer or Ms. Stermer.
Okay, the way the question's phrased now will sustain the objection as to it's called for speculation.
Did you ever observe anything unusual about the family nucleus from the time that you've known Mr. and Mrs. Stermer?
As in, I don't know what you might be referring to.
Did you ever see any violence in the home?
Yes,
When?
throughout the whole time I've known them. Mostly when I lived with them in Portage.
So this is two places, two different locations you live with the Stermers?
I lived with them in their home when they lived in Portage, and the house in Lawrence she babysat my kids at.
So the house in Lawrence, did you live in that house
No,
at
no.
all? So you never lived in that
No,
house?
I never lived in that house.
You just was over there on a lot, on a lot of occasions you spent?
Correct.
at
I
the
spent a
house?
lot. I spent a lot of family stuff with them, like graduation parties, Christmases, holidays, birthday parties. Plus, she had my kids every weekend, so.
Okay,
the home
then
in Lawrence.
no, hell no. You knew that there was DV in a house and you took your kids over there? Time out, time out, time out. You knew there was a dangerous situation where someone was getting hands laid on them, where there was physical violence going on in the house, and you took your kids over there? In a volatile situation, in the most dangerous calls that police officers get, you decided that was a great place to leave your kids? Okay, sounds good. I was just wondering. JKD Buck, we are a day behind, yes. The initial court case happened in 2010, and she was convicted. It was reversed in 2018, and now I believe this started 2 weeks ago. I could be wrong. Seems awful convenient that someone who owes Linda, probably has been told that she owes Linda. Again, Linda is a very transactional person. She will love bomb you when she needs you. Amazing that only one person is going to corroborate Linda's claims. Okay, I was wondering if it was just me, because I am like, hell no. If you had experienced a dangerous situation when you were living with them, how the hell would you put your kids in that? That makes no sense. None.
Yes, correct.
Okay. May I have just a second, Judge?
Because this lawyer is, well, not smart. He is SMRT smart.
Ms. Griggs, prior to January the 7th of 2007, which was the date of the fire, when was the last time that you were at the house?
I believe it had been about 4 weeks.
About 4 weeks?
Yes.
Okay. And when I was asking about the conditions of how you, I was going to say, how would you describe the unfinished parts of the house? Did you ever see any smoke detectors installed in the house?
No, there was holes cut in the ceiling, and you could see wires hanging down, but there was no actual smoke detectors. And I remember this clearly because I was court ordered to take a video of the house in a custody battle with my son's father, and he wanted to be able to see where my kids were being watched at. And the house was unfinished, there was no smoke detectors, and I never made the video because he would have eaten me alive with it.
So you had actually seen every part of this house?
So, rewind. You knowingly, okay, again, Madam Mom of the Year, you left your children in an unfinished, unsafe house with no fire detectors and a current and recurrent DV situation? Mom of the Year, oh, she's the Mom of the Year. Why don't you get that? Those are stupid things to really do. Oh my gosh. And yeah, she's credible. Did we notice how she was walking in like this? Like she didn't want to be there? I mean, even Linda's not buying it.
The only part of the house I didn't see any of the bedrooms.
None of the bedrooms?
None of the bedrooms. Never been in any of the bedrooms.
But all the other rooms, the basement, you didn't see, you said had there been any attempt to place fire detectors in the basement?
Yeah, I remember there was a hole down there in the ceiling with 2 wires hanging out, like it was set to put the fire detector in there, but it never got put in.
Okay. And that was the same way on the living area?
The same way, I remember the one in the kitchen as well.
Okay.
Hell, Daryl Brooks Esquire would be better. But more annoying, which is kind of hard to quantify.
I have no further questions, John.
Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Gregg.
Good afternoon.
So I just want to ask you a couple clarifying items, okay? So how would you describe your friendship with Ms. Stermer at the time of the fire?
We had a good friendship.
Were you very close?
Yes.
Did you talk about a lot?
I mean, yeah.
And at that time, you said you had known her for how long?
I've known her since I was 14.
And I don't mean to get personal, but how old are you now?
I'm 47.
So you're 47. So when you're talking about babysitting, you're not talking about babysitting the boys.
No, she babysat. When I was younger, I babysat for her children.
Which child? Which children?
All 5 of them. Ashley, Brittany, Trevor, Trev, and Corey.
Okay.
And then when I got older and had kids, Linda babysat for my kids.
Were you close to Trevor, Trenton, and Corey?
I wouldn't say close. We all got along. We all cared about each other, but I was always closer with the girls.
And so were you aware that the boys' bedrooms were in the basement?
I don't believe so.
And that's where you spent the time then with your children?
Huh. You know, what's interesting is you were like, I was like this. I went over all the times. I was there forevers. And then you're like, where do the boys live again? Where are their rooms? You can't have it both ways, ma'am. You either, I mean, even if I didn't go into any of the bedrooms, I would know where they were. So, which story is it? Were you always at the house confabulating with your bestie, Linda? Or do you not remember stuff? Huh. Well, we are at 1.5. And I've been taking notes, so I haven't noticed her blinking, but I don't believe her. And I don't think that she has a deep personal history with Linda. I feel like Linda has her hooks in her. I think that there's a deep, again, she owes her for taking her in, when she was younger. And I bet Linda has, never let her forget that. And then once her boys started to leave her, Linda put on the victim role. Like, I can't believe my boys aren't staying loyal to me. You're the only one that's left to me. And love bomb, love bomb, love bomb. So I would give this credibility about the same credibility as Dardita, or not Dardita. I'm going to say I'll give it the same credibility I give, well, the last prison snitch,
Yeah.
Were the boys ever present on the weekend in the basement with you?
Not normally with me, but they hung out during the day with my children.
Did you know that Todd and Linda were having marital problems at the time of the fire?
Yes.
And
Did you
you
know she
weren't
was a
there
cheating
that weekend,
whore?
correct?
No.
You said you hadn't been there for about a month?
Correct.
And you never lived in that house?
No, I did not.
When you lived with them, that was in a house in Portage?
Correct.
And you never lived in the County Road 215 house?
No, I did not.
How many times were you at that house on County Road 215?
Numerous.
I am not sure.
Was that every weekend, you said?
Yeah, every Friday, every Monday, times in between.
Did you go from the time they started building the house until the end?
Yeah.
When did you make a copy of this video?
I never actually made the video. I was ordered to make the video and decided not to because of the condition of the home. It would have been an issue in my custody battle.
When did you make it?
I didn't make it.
When did you see this? When were you going to make this video?
In 2005.
In 2005?
Correct.
So 2005 is when she's talking about them having no fire. That dirty, disgusting, rotten, two-faced defense. I swear to flippin' flapjacks, do not lie to my fucking face. Excuse my French. But 2005.
And you never told anybody, well, let me ask you this. You remember testifying in 2010, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did.
And you never testified about any smoke detectors or anything at that time?
No.
And you said that the Stermer family used the fireplace many times?
Yes,
Were you aware if they used the upstairs fireplace many times?
I'm not aware of that.
Did you go upstairs?
I am upstairs.
So you described your relationship with Linda as pretty close?
Yes.
Did she ever tell you about Chris Williams?
No.
So in the 6 months preceding the fire, you had no idea that she had a boyfriend? Is that a no?
That's what I'm sorry.
Isn't it true that you had an on-again, off-again relationship with Ms. Stermer?
I mean, I guess we've always been friends, but did we reach out every day and speak? No.
There are times that you weren't friends?
We've always been friends.
Ooh,
Times that you
someone
fight
has
with her?
some tea.
Of course.
Foy, foy, foy,
So you
foy,
said
foy.
that, let me ask you, the driveway you said was made of gravel, correct?
It's clay.
And then I think you had said that there were stones?
Depending on which part of the driveway, like when you started towards the road, it would get worse as you got closer to the house.
And would you agree that the driveway was an incline up to the house?
Yes.
And so you said that you got stuck in the driveway, and so then that's why you would go down the hill and park in the backyard?
It wasn't really a backyard. I mean, but yes, that's what I did. I parked down there every time I brought the kids. The slider patio door was like 20 feet away from where I park. I unload my 3 kids, get their overnight bags, take it inside.
And then you would go up the hill to get back on the driveway?
I would reverse out until I could turn my car back up the driveway
From the backyard?
from the back. Yes.
And you go up the hill?
Yes.
Okay. Then why is going up a hill to, okay, I am so lost.
You said your kids went there almost every weekend up until about a month
Also,
before the fire?
Notice that this is the first person that has claimed that the driveway was undrivable. So all of the firefighters, all of the deputies, that every single person the state asked every single time they went there, hey, did you slip slide? Was it hard to drive? Were you in danger of running someone over? That kind of thing.
Yes.
And they stayed in the basement and played in the basement?
Well, they didn't stay in the basement, but that's where I remember doing the majority of stuff if we weren't outside. Yes.
Where'd they sleep?
They had couches and stuff set up
In the basement?
in the basement.
So the kids slept in the basement?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know where your kids slept?
I don't recall where they slept. Sorry.
Did you even stop the car when you pushed them out the van? Look, ma'am, I get it. I was a single mother with 3 small girls. I get it. But I wouldn't leave my kids in a home with no fire detectors, which you then claimed happened in 2005, so thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Look, it's a 3 o'clock shadow. It's a very light one, very delicate. She is a lady. Look, ma'am, I am sure that you maybe didn't have another better option than Linda, but I absolutely detest people that will go and, stand up for a lying liarton who lies and then lie. So just don't. And thank you so much,
Are you
Tammy.
still close with Ms. Stermer?
Yes.
You said you are a treasure and a balm for my soul. Thank you. Well, thank you guys. You guys helped me get through these. I will be honest. The boys got me. They definitely did. Again, seeing people be so brave and so strong and face their demons, it's really, really just inspiring, but also gut-wrenching to hear them, talk about how much they missed their dad, how much they were dad's guys, dad's boys, and especially Trenton, his mom attacking him for asking questions about his dad, who he really loved.
Would you say anything to keep her out of trouble?
No, I won't.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Griggs, just for clarification, when referred to the fireplace upstairs, it's actually the living room, is that right?
It's in the living room, yes.
The living area?
That is the living room, yes.
So it's a living area and a basement?
And a basement, yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. And this driveway or the area that you refer to that's sandy or muddy, is that something that's consistent, or is it just when there was
That's
very
all-
inclement weather?
Yes, that was only if it was wet. Any kind of wetness, a light sprinkle of rain, a light snow, could be heavy rain, heavy snow, but if it was
Is that still in 2005, maybe before they got fresh gravel delivered? Because you seem to be real unspecific about your time, because you were talking about 2005 when you were talking about the fire, smoke detectors. So do we need to specify at which time the, driveway was all conflagrated?
wet, it was slick.
But you can move in and out of it, though, right?
Yeah, kind of. Sometimes I would get stuck in it.
Okay. But you didn't have to have a tow truck
No.
to pull you out of it?
You
though.
kind of rock your car back and forth and rock yourself out of it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Jury, do you have any questions of this witness? Testified that you and your kids had been at the Stermer home every Friday to Monday from 2004 to 2007. Why not the last month before the fire?
Job changed.
Thank you. Counsel, any questions in light of that question? She said job change. Any questions? Any other questions, jury? May she be excused from her subpoena, counsel?
No objection.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You're all done and you're excused from your subpoena obligation. And counsel, can you approach, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
The one.
Oh, is she going to watch the videos now? Okay, on a level from Kato Kalin to, well, Cheech and or Chong, how many gummies am I going to need to deal with the defense's expert? These are
I
questions.
assume? Okay.
Oh, well, that's reassuring. Don't mind me as I go off camera.
Sir, do you want to come forward? Or raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat, and once you're settled in, we'll have you state your full name and spell the last, please.
Oh my gosh, I know his face. How in the hell did the architect from The Matrix get in here? That asshole, screwed us over and didn't let, John Wick live with his puppy forever after in The Matrix. That asshole. Also, why does he also remind me of Abe Vigoda? All right, let me get a banner for this. I haven't seen the last couple ones. He's dead? Oh my God, yes, and we are the iceberg. But ching. All right, let's listen to the fireologist of fireology. That's what I thought, but I couldn't remember. Okay, but is his puppy okay? I don't mean the one from the first one. Obviously, they're not okay, but like the one he adopted. Okay, let's start this.
Robert James Trenkle, Trenkle.
Thank you. Mr. Mueller?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Trinkle.
Good afternoon.
I want to ask you some questions today about your work in this case. We'll just get into that in a second. Can you tell the jury what it is you do for a living? And then we'll get into how you and I got together on this case.
Okay.
Who is your dad and what do they do? My dad's an attorney and he makes lots of money. My dad is a gynecologist and he looks at girl parts all time. Honestly, Arnold, you weren't a great governor, but you were a great, you were a great kindergarten cop.
Yeah, I've been involved in the fire service since 1966. At that time, I became a trial firefighter for the city of Detroit. And I went through a 6-month training program. 320 hours were in theory,
A
book
full
learning,
3 months?
how fire propagates, how it progresses, and how to suppress it, and how the causal factors of it. And stayed in there, well, in 1967, the next year, 6 months later, we had a huge riot in Detroit and had innumerable arsons. So my goal was to be an
A riot in Detroit? You don't say. Tell me more. Tell me more, tell me more. Did she put up a fight?
fire investigator. And I tried to I did join the Detroit police, but I found out after I got
Harry, we're in Detroit. Harry, you're a wizard, but this is America.
hired that the fire department is where the arson squad was, and I commented that where the guys carry guns and badges and they have no uniform, they're in plain clothes. Yeah, they're from the fire department. So I went back and kept my job there. And after 4 or 5 years, I went from the fire division to the fire marshal's division, where after 6 months training again, became a fire inspector. Had to learn about building construction codes, flammable liquid storage, all kinds of different things that relate to fire inspection for fire safety, basically.
Can I stop you right there? What's the difference between being a fire inspector, for example, and a firefighter?
For the firefighter?
Yeah.
Okay. Being a fire.
Well, they're different because they're called different things. And inspector is someone who investigates or, I don't know, takes a gander at, if you use vernacular that is, more hillbilly-ish. It is somewhat implied in the name that one fights and one inspects, but go ahead and elucidate us. No, he's actually asking for Mr. Kelly. He's real interested in learning in case he needs another career.
Fighter, we worked 24-hour shifts. We responded immediately to any alarm that came in for our particular engine houses. I think back when I started, we probably had maybe 80 or 90 different stations. Not the same today. But we were the 5th largest city in the country, just 100,000 behind Philadelphia back then. And eventually we were known as...
Those were the days, Awachi. Remember when Detroit used to be the Paris of the Midwest? Stifle.
was the murder and arson capital of the world, which wasn't too good, so it gave me a lot of experience. But as far as going from firefighting to fire inspection, you work in a 5-day, 8-hour shift there, and we had 2 shifts, days and afternoons, and different shifts would have different responsibilities. For example, I talked about flammable liquids. Any place that had flammable liquid storage, any vehicles, tankers that would come through the city, we'd have to inspect every one of those, tag them so they were cleared for the year. Building construction, when buildings were built, we had to make sure that they were properly built as far as fire safety. We go hand in hand with the building inspectors. They take care of a lot of the other things. Electrical inspectors would take care of theirs, plumbing inspectors would take care of theirs. In fire, we would take care of ours, make sure that they were conforming to the fire safety codes. as a portion of the fire investigators, I was in charge of, for a year or so, all the hospitals and all the schools in the city of Detroit, they have special needs due or special requirements, and so I had to learn about that. And in those facilities, if the arson squad was really busy, we would fill in for them on those two that we had jurisdiction on, and once we found that the fire was an arson, we turn it over to them. We'd like capacity in the afternoon shifts. We go into bars and restaurants and make sure that their exits were open. Everything was, their fire extinguishers were up to date, and they didn't have anything that was dangerous that we'd potentially have to close them down until they fix it. And sometimes we did close a couple places down for whatever deficiencies they had, because we
Oh my God, I can see it. And now I can't unsee it. And that's kind of apropos for this case, considering if you know the backstory of Freddy Krueger, you know, he was not supposed to be close to schools, and he happened to, oh, and let me Google this. Robert England. Or England. And holy crap. Okay. Yes. And then I think we have a match. Freddy Krueger, where were you on, well, okay, I'm going to guesstimate. Where were you in the early 60s? I think you have a son. Survey says you are the father.
We didn't get to them all the time. There were others that were like torch burner units in a repair garage. We had to inspect, there were several different entities we inspect annually, like the hospitals, like the schools.
This is all with the city of Detroit?
Yeah. Well, there were, Wayne State University had some of their buildings outside of the city. We go inspect them also, probably jointly with, I remember Southfield for sure. Wayne State had a pretty big facility there, and we jointly inspect that.
Can I stop you there and just ask, you've got, as a firefighter or a fire investigation expert, you've got special skill sets in fire suppression, tactics, and strategy?
Yes.
Tell us what background you have that makes you have
tacticologist.
subject matter expertise in that.
Other than college level classes, actual practical explanation.
Oh, hell no. Did I just hear subject matter jurisdiction? Oh, he's been to an actual college level class? Impressed. He went to college. Again, I say that a little tongue in cheek. I do appreciate people who do get an education and a higher education. I have just also seen people that work at Starbucks and are continuing to pay off into their late 50s their general education degree. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts, as it were. I do love that Englishism. It swings and roundabouts. I love it. Especially since America seems to be hell-bent on putting roundabouts everywhere now. I blame France, but I blame France on a lot of things. So,
Or
I
actually,
am really
practical
English.
application. Through the course of being in the firefighting division, I was mostly in a ladder company. There are fewer ladder companies than engine companies. We put aerial ladders up, break holes in the roofs and ventilate buildings for the fire guys.
Yes, you've got, as a firefighter or a fire,
I think the feed actually got tired of stupidity and blanked out. Weird. John Barton says, I have a master's and a PhD, but I enjoy my life as a long-distance trucker. Hey, you know what? Tammy Fayette, I found land in Texas for my introvert homestead. I just need to cough up at least $750,000 for it. Damn it. Running a cult is so expensive. That's why you call it a religion and get tax exempt. Welcome to the Church of Mo, y'all.
Investigation expert, you've got special skill sets in fire suppression, tactics, and strategy.
Yes,
Tell us what background you have that makes you have subject matter expertise in that.
other than college level classes, actual excuse me, practical application. Through the course of being in the firefighting division, I was mostly in a ladder company. There are fewer ladder companies than engine companies. We put aerial ladders up, break holes in the roofs and ventilate buildings so the fire guys on the engine would be able to go in with.
Okay, the one question about Texas is, does it have pecan trees? Now, is it pecan? Is it, because, okay, I call it pecan pie, but it's like a pecan some places, and then it's a pecan some places, and then it's just yummy in a pie if it's Mo. I don't care really what you call it, highfalutin, put on airs. Like, just say it's, the pecan pie, and I will be there.
Without, well, not without, there's still in excessive heat and things like that, but if we vent through the roof, excuse me, through the roof, we're able to allow them to come in and it kind of lights up the fire. Sometimes there's not enough oxygen, so when we open a hole in the roof, it's safe. You've probably seen the movie Backdraft or heard of it anyhow, and that was.
You might have seen Kurt Russell trying to arsenate people. And while I am not Kurt Russell, if you saw the movie Backdraft, that's pretty much what I do. Oh, good Lord. Why choose? My heart's big enough for both. Godoy. It's a sweet. I can be polyamorous with sweets. Oh, is it Donald Sutherland? Oh, Kurt Russell is Snake Plissket. Never mind. I was thinking of another person.
Something that never could happen, but backdrafts do happen. I didn't mean it that way. But backdrafts are because of bad fire suppression operations or when a structure has been smoldering for a long time. If you open a door on a horizontal plane, there will be an explosion and you can get hurt. By venting at the top, you won't. So all those are fire tactics and strategy. And back in the 60s, there were classes for associate degree programs by the community college, and I took all the courses they had to offer at that point, and tactics and strategy was one of them.
Let me just stop you there if I may.
Okay.
In terms of tactics and strategy, you go through a lot of training as a firefighter to determine what are the proper tactics, what are the proper strategies.
Sure. The 320-hour course we had in the beginning of our being a firefighter, much of that was regarding how to go into a fire, how to fight it. Like you may have heard the 2 in, 2 out practices.
Why don't you explain that for us? The ground rules, the rules of thumb for fighting fire.
Right. None of us were ever supposed to.
Why would he assume that people would be, again, Backdraft was sort of a cultural movie. It was kind of a big movie. It did well. So that's kind of a cultural touchstone that most people would be familiar with. Now, the 2 in, 2 out procedural kind of, things, I just can't believe he mentioned Backdraft. God bless it. I mean, if we're going to go for firefighter movies, I like Frequency better. That being said, Jim Caviezel. Although now I can't kind of have a crush on Jim Caviezel because he played Jesus, and I don't know if that's blasphemous or not. I mean, I never watched Passion of the Christ, so I wouldn't be perving on him like in Jesus mode, but I still don't want to test the waters, okay? That being said, I used to like Jim Caviezel.
Go into a fire alone. There are other occasions if we saw an individual that we may have been able to save. Sometimes the guys would, go in and do it without having a partner there. One of my buddies got burned pretty bad doing that, and fortunately we were there to back him up with water and pour water on him. But he ended up not staying in the department for what happened to him. But sometimes we think we're Mr. Asbestos Man. I guess we could go in because other people can't, and we have some equipment, but it's not going to stop.
What is Grandpa Firefighter talking about? I keep getting these hypothetical, have you seen Backdraft? You know, hey, and also don't do this, and if you're a firefighter, don't do this. Are all of his answers this long-winded? I feel like I'm getting ready for a fireside chat.
Stop the heat penetrating and fire still getting to us. And back in the old days, we didn't have any self-contained breathing apparatus. We had MSA filtration type masks. It was harder to breathe with that than it was just going in and facing the fire.
Mr. Trenkel, can you give us an idea of the training that you're taking to handle fires? Give us an idea of if you're inside a burning building, what the atmosphere is like, what the risks are, those kind of things. And just the overall.
Okay. Well, say two guys go in with a fire hose, fire line, we call it. Used to be 1.5 inches, now it's 1 3/4 that we carry in. But when I started, it was 2.5-inch line, and you couldn't even make it turn. If I brought in that door, it'd be hard for me to turn toward you because there's so much water and so much pressure. So eventually we evolved to at least having 1.5 inch line separated into 2.5-inch line. And we were able to maneuver very much with that, with having 2 people in, again, 2 people out. But you learn the basics of fire and how it behaves naturally. Fire is governed by fire science and fire physics, fire chemistry, fire dynamics, and it's
Fire marital relations, fire gravity, fire strong, you know, force and quantum mechanics, the weak force, and even quarks.
altered by certain other things like ventilation, firefighting suppression operations, all those kinds of things can change.
I think he's giving like expert testimony without actually going through his qualifications.
He's going through his training, Your Honor, but I'll try to shorten this up. Thank
Shorten
you.
it up, please.
Mr. Trenkel, can you give us an idea of the dangers that you face as a firefighter that you trained against?
Well, I mean, if we're going to be strictly honest, my favorite movie involving fire is Carrie. Now, I'm not going to say that, like every 13-year-old girl, I dreamed that I would come into my psychokinetic powers and take revenge on those that mocked me. But I'm not saying I didn't do that.
And why you're training for that?
Yes.
Well, I guess asking it that way, I have to start explaining, but if I just go to the fire tactics and strategy, maybe I can explain it better that way, unless
No, just the dangers that you're facing when you're inside a burning building.
you face death all the time. You know, you don't know you're going to come back out. Normally speaking, we think we are. Through the course of my time in the Detroit Fire Department, we lost, well, during the riots, one guy was shot, one guy was electrocuted, well, one guy died this year.
Your Honor.
Mr. Trenkel,
Did this man really go back to the 1960s during the riots in Detroit? Because that's current. Also, I understand, I'm not laughing at this, but a firefighter being shot is not the same as a firefighter getting hurt in a thermal incident. I'm not downplaying that he got shot or that the other got electrocuted or that the other losses, but what I'm saying is it's really not germane to this case at all. I can imagine, and I mean, I would imagine that firefighting is a younger guy's game. So younger men and younger people in general think they're fireproof, think they're bulletproof. And JKD Buck, well, I hope that you take extra special care of Miss JKD Buck tomorrow. No, germane as in part of the case having to do with anything about the case pertaining to. It's just a synonym. I learned it from Lawyer Talk because I listen to them and I try to repeat their words. Mama bears are scarier.
Yeah, they're interesting, but I
gonna
don't
speed
think
it
they're
up.
relevant. Thank you.
Mr. Trenkel,
Yes,
you are certified as an origin and cause expert, right?
I am.
And how many hours have you taken training in all aspects of firefighting? Not firefighting, fire investigation, I should say.
All the things that we were talking about qualifying, you know, thousands of hours.
Are you also certified by
Certified.
organizations?
Certified by the Detroit Fire Department when I was there for fire investigation, fire inspection.
The Detroit Fire Department, Detroit, the city that has all of 150 people. And also in the early 70s, sir. Okay, all right, let's continue this. I have no idea.
The International Association of Arson Investigators, which I sat on the Training and Education Committee for 10 years and still participate.
Is that, I take it international, it's a worldwide organization?
Yes,
And you have to go through a lot of training to become
Yes.
certified?
International. Now, is that a global sort of thing, or is that just here in America? God, give me strength.
yes.
Okay.
Certification.
Go ahead.
Certification takes a lot of background for them to approve you by your training and by your knowledge and testing and all that.
What other organizations are you certified by?
The National Association of Fire Investigators also, and board certified through the Certification Committee for IAAI.
Have you taught fire investigation tactics, fire investigation origin and cause?
Yes.
Tell us real quickly, when and where.
Well, we had in Detroit, I got in the arson section in beginning of 1974. At that point, there were a lot of other jurisdictions like Michigan.
Chat, when do we get to just let's go way into the future, into the 90s. Is that tomorrow? Can I skip forward to tomorrow if he's not going to get into the early 90s till then? Let's get back to Pappy Fire. Oh my goodness. Like any other time, this guy seems super awesome and has a lot of stories. And if he had a YouTube channel and he talked all about firefighting, I would be totally game to listen to, fireside chats about fire with, the fireologist. But if we don't move away from damn near, 100 years ago, I'm going to lose my mind.
Michigan State Police, they didn't have their own academy. They came down to us and trained. We trained them on an afternoon shift and a midnight shift. So they got hundreds of fire incidents of exposure, trained them not only just with the physicalness, but also the book learning part of it. We also trained ATF, FBI, trained in a lot of different other areas through the course of my earlier years. And then,
Let me stop you. Have you trained people overseas?
yes,
Where?
Auckland, New Zealand, Morton and
The
Marsh, England.
Houthis.
And have you trained people in various states in the United States?
Yes,
Okay. How many times, you're now in this fire origin and cause business for how many years or decades?
by doing fire investigations exclusively. 71 I started in fire prevention, but exclusively doing nothing else except fire investigation has been since 1974.
Since 1974, how many times would you say you've been qualified as an expert witness in various subjects relating to fire investigations?
Has he escaped from Cocoon? I don't know why he reminds me of that movie. Again, he's not really answering the question. He's going in on these, again, he's asking, what are the foundations of this fire, strategy or this fire cause and origin? He's like, well, back in Detroit after the riots, I was training lots of people in Detroit, and Detroit was a bustling city back in the 70s. I had a full head of hair and a perm and a full Manchu. Could you believe it? I mean, right here is where I think my brain is hurt.
Into the thousands, but I would put it better. Less than 2,000, more than 1,000.
Okay. In state and federal courts?
Yes,
In Michigan?
in Michigan and many other states.
Your Honor, at this time, I've got Exhibit P as in Paul. I'd move for the admission of his CV, Exhibit P, and move for the admission of Mr. Tranquil, or the certification of Mr. Tranquil as an expert, fire investigation, fire suppression, fire inspection, and fire forensic analysis, I should say,
Not
as
an
fire suppression
analyst.
tactics, as a fire inspector in building, fire origin and cause,
Griller.
and as a fire forensic analyst.
Thank you, Mr. Blair.
Well, I haven't heard anything that I think justifies fire forensic analyst, Your Honor. I've never actually heard of that.
Happy to do that right now. It'll take a couple minutes.
Okay, you can lay a foundation for
Sure.
this fire forensic. I haven't heard anything on that either.
Do you have
Sir, are you an analyst?
Jesus. What is going on here? The man hasn't made a point related to the question yet. We have heard about the Great Riot. We have heard about him training and, training in the early 60s. So that's great. I'm sure that's super current. I know, it's rather naughty of me, but I don't have to fight Ofcom, so certain freedoms I won't trade for Bakewell tarts.
subject matter expertise in terms of fire forensic analysis? And if you do, tell us what it is and what's your background in it.
Okay, well, forensics usually means that there's going to be some kind of court case or whatever, either civil or criminal, and that's the forensics part of it. In fire, obviously, we're talking about what I've done for most of my life, 58 and a half years and more. And the analyst part of it is I'm analyzing, a lot of times, other people's investigations prior to mine. Even actually when I had 7 investigators, 2 engineers working for me years ago, and I would have to analyze and make sure their reports were correct, or not only correct, that they could present with all the physical.
Was this in the modern and futuristical times of the early 90s? Tell us more about the future, sir.
Evidence, what they had to say in their reports, otherwise they had to go back and do something else, same as I had to do in the arson squad.
Is that relating to documentation?
Yes, I mean, the whole totality of the fire science and fire investigations and being involved in court cases, looking at other people's reports and to evaluate how they did what they did or didn't.
How long have you been doing that?
Last probably 20 years or more.
Okay, move for the admission of Mr. Trankel as an expert in fire forensic analysis.
I've heard no expertise or testimony that would warrant him being an expert in conducting analysis of other people's reports. It's not exactly a scientific field, Your Honor.
That's called peer review, Your Honor.
Well, that's
And
not
under-
an expert field.
And under 702, by virtue of his education, training, and work experience, he is certainly qualified to talk about documentation and proper methods.
I'm going to allow him as an expert in the other fields. I'm just a little confused about what the latter one is, but certainly he can testify as an expert if he's going to opine
Thank you.
on the case. Mr. Blair, you're still standing. I didn't know if you were.
No. I just wanted to make sure, so in case the court had any questions, that's why I was still standing
Okay.
up. Stand up, sit down.
So I think I move for the admission of Exhibit P to CV.
Mr. Mueller, Mrs. As you tendered in its entirety to me in discovery, the CV.
CV, that's Exhibit P in your book.
Okay, that's what I'll make sure. Thank you. No objection.
Okay.
I know.
That exhibit into evidence and acknowledge his testimony as an expert, as noted.
Thank you. We've only got a little bit of time, so I'll keep this brief and to the point. You were asked by me to do work on this Linda Stermer fire investigation case.
Yes, after I'd been involved in it before.
You were involved with it in other aspects, correct?
Yes,
All right. Then you and I met roughly about 2019, that sounds about right, end of 2018?
probably, I'm not sure, but 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it might be.
And what is it I asked you to do in terms of fire origin and cause analysis?
To look at all the documentation in any fire. Are we speaking this case or all cases?
To determine, obviously the house was gone by the time you were involved, right?
Yes, in this instance, yes, it was already gone. I was out at the remains, which was just a cement slab, which was the basement, and portions of the walls were on the side.
Okay. We're going to probably get into it a little bit more tomorrow, but I want to just kind of briefly touch on, what did you review in terms of Mr. Leroy's excavation? What types of data did you collect to determine whether he did a proper excavation or anything at all?
I'm going to object. It's the foundation, Your Honor. I don't think he's asked him what he reviewed. everything that we're jumping way ahead here.
I just asked him, would you review? What data did you collect?
I think a little more foundation, please.
You were asked to review Scott Leroy's work because you couldn't do your own investigation. The house didn't exist, right?
Right,
And you were asked to review his report, his photographs, right?
yes,
Did you review other folks' photographs?
yes.
Who?
James Shinsky, who worked for the insurance company, who's retired Michigan State Police, and the adjuster, Len McHugh, I saw his photographs, and he had, well, his report, I read just the fire part of the report, but a lot of it was for structural damage and all that, so I didn't go into all that.
One of the things you adhere to is the scientific method.
Yes,
Okay. Ask if you can just very briefly put up exhibit, it's already been marked Exhibit D, and if you can just kind of take us through the steps.
are you asking me?
Just a minute. Yes.
I see it, I just didn't know if you wanted me to bring mine up.
Familiar with scientific method, sir?
Yes. It's extremely important, it's an integral part of what we do.
Okay, no. Are we
In the fire
staying with
service,
the-
we,
Okay, y'all, I am skipping Mrs. Frizzle's homeroom class because I swear to God I am not listening to him explain the daggone scientific damn method.
the documentation becomes much more stringent, the higher level.
It's 4 o'clock here, I got maybe 2 minutes. Okay. In this particular case, did you review Mr. Leroy's documentation of his excavation?
What he had in his report and what he did, yes.
Okay. Did you come to some opinions in terms of his documentation of an excavation of this Stermer residence?
Well, his documentation to start with, had things in it that had nothing to do with anything scientific about what may have caused the fire.
Objection, Your Honor, he's asking about an excavation, he's going off on a completely different tangent here that's not even being asked.
The question is not responsive, so if you could ask the question
Mr.
again.
Trickle?
I'm sorry, I kind of thought I had to lead into that because,
I just want to know, for our jury, before we go home, do you have opinions as to the quality of the documentation that Mr. Leroy did in terms of his excavation?
okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. There is very little documentation of what he did excavation-wise. There were some things that were, well, he declared the fire happened in the living room, and the living room's collapsed, so the evidence is in the basement level. And he moved some pieces of flue vent piping that I saw on the outside, and some furniture pieces, some springs and some framework.
Did you hear his testimony regarding how much of the living room he did?
He said he did all of it.
Did you hear his testimony about how clear the floor was when he was done?
How clear the floor was?
Yes.
Usually if you're talking about clear, you've hosed it off with, the assistance of fire apparatus or something like that. I don't remember him saying, I don't remember him saying.
Okay. So if you could try to just respond to the question that's asked of you.
Are you aware that Mr. Leroy did his
He'll try. I don't think he's able.
excavation and investigation on the 8th, the day after fire?
That was what he said.
Okay. Are you aware that Mr. McHugh, you reviewed Mr. McHugh's photographs that we saw earlier
Yes,
on the 10th?
yes,
And are you aware of Mr. Shinsky's photographs on the 15th?
yes.
Are those pieces of data that you collected to arrive at opinion?
All those things help, yes.
When Mr. Leroy said that he conducted a full excavation of the 18 by 18 living room, based on your review of Mr. McHugh's photos, Mr. Shinsky's photos, what is your opinion as to whether that is true?
There's nothing in the photographs that show he did.
Any other documentation,
What do you mean?
like notes, reports about the excavation?
No.
I think it's 4 or 5, Your Honor. Probably a good place.
Jury will call it a day for today. Counsel, can you approach, please?
Okay, let's go to day 8. Okay, no, court TV, it is day 8.
Is it still live?
As it relates to the speed at which fire might grow and propagate in the absence of, as it relates to the speed at which fire might grow and propagate in the absence of liquid accelerants under certain conditions, and how polyester clothing might burn when doused with 2 ounces of gasoline versus how it might burn in the absence of any gasoline. Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We agree, Your Honor.
So I would give it this morning when they come in, because that witness is on the stand. We left him on the stand, right? Okay.
Well, I guess I would ask maybe you give it right before the admit to the first.
Okay. Wait till you got it.
Yeah, I think I prefer to be fresh in their mind.
Oh, that's right. I think I had suggested 2 separate ones if you want to do that. So when we will be doing them at separate times. You can read the one for the warehouse burn video and just substitute the other clause for the clothing video.
Which are you doing first? Which video?
Probably the burn video, the warehouse video.
Any position on whether I read it?
No,
twice?
you can read it.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, so just remind me, counsel, to read that when you get to that point. And I'll read it for each video, and then we'll put it in our finals as well. I think that's a good idea to include it in the
Ooh.
finals.
Judge, your hair is looking spiffy. Very, very nice. You got your hair did. You were like, Linda's not going to be the only one with good hair. We got some Pharaoh waves going on. Good. Go you, girl.
I don't know that that's necessary.
Okay, we'll fight
Oh,
we'll fight about it later then.
Yeah.
So I guess jury's not here yet. Any other matters, and we can break until they get
I'll
here?
wait for Skip. I think Skip wanted to address something.
Okay. Okay, I'll break until he's here then.
Oh, should we wait for Skip on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The competent
Oh, why did it keep showing the brakes?
Record in the case of People versus Linda Stermer. Any matters to address before we bring in the jury?
Your Honor, Mr. Buller just had to run downstairs. I thought he'd be back, but if we could just wait just a few minutes, I'm sure he'll be coming in the door in just a few seconds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bursting through the door.
Yeah. I think he just forgot something.
So, so counsel, on the sweatpant instruction, is this the final, the one you sent, Jay?
Yep, Wolf and I wrote that together.
Oh, they're playing
You
nice.
sure it's only 2 sentences?
It took us about 10 minutes to fashion it.
Okay, the sweatpants you'll see in the video are not the same pair of sweatpants involved in this case. They are an exemplar pair of 100% polyester sweatpants. That's it? Okay. And you'll alert me when it's time to give that instruction, Mr. Mueller or Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll bring in the jury then.
Bringing in the jury. Okay, let's get back to rambling. He's a rambling man.
And Mr. Mueller, I think you had your witness on the stand.
Thank you. I'm recalling Robert Trinkle.
Good morning. Sir, before you have a seat, I'll let you put your bag down, but before you have a seat, I'll swear you in again. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Who raises their
And
hand
Mr.
that
Mueller, you may
high?
continue.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
He has binders. He went to Office Max. Holy crap, it's like Mary Poppins' bag.
Where are those?
They have information, Mr. Leroy's photographs, things of that nature to refer to when I testify.
I would prefer, well, if they're going to be, are they even exhibits? I mean, we need to rely on what's been admitted or...
Your Honor,
I understand that, I'm just kind of throwing that out there so we're all, you know.
Back.
Sir, you can leave them out for now, and we'll deal with it. If there's issues along the way, we'll deal with them as they come up.
thank you. May I begin? Thank you. Mr. Trenko, yesterday we were talking about the scientific method at the end of the day. You remember that?
Yes.
And the steps you have to follow?
Yes.
And the consequences of if you don't follow those steps. You remember that?
Yes.
There's something that Mr. Leroy had testified to regarding a book called NFPA 921. Can you tell us what that is and what significance that book, that guide, has in the fire origin and cause industry?
NFPA 921 is listed as a guide for fire and explosion investigations on the front cover. It was first printed in 1992. The most current printed is 2024. And it's a book that assists in how procedures in fire investigation, many of the other variables but that relate to and the periphery of fire investigation and direct fire investigation.
Okay. In a kind of a nutshell, does it give you the do's and don'ts of when you're doing a fire investigation?
That would be a good way of putting it. Yes.
Is that something that you've been trained on and fire investigators are trained on
I shouldn't be
in the
mute
course of their
anymore.
careers?
I was talking to the young
Since
Farrells.
1992, I used that book as one of my texts when I taught in college level.
1992?
Careers.
Since 1992, I used that book as one of my texts when I taught in college level at Down University, a basic and advanced class. I used that book in Kurt's Fire Investigations as supplements.
Is NFPA 921 considered in the industry kind of the golden standard of the guidebook of how you train?
Yes, on the front of the book, it says it's an ANSI approved document. It used to say it's an ANSI standard, American National Standards Institute standard, but a standard has to be in the form of shall, will, and must. Codes, when I enforced codes in the fire inspection, fire department in Detroit, all the codes had to be met specifically. This can't be met specifically because there's too many other materials to cover, but NFPA 1033 is a standard, and it refers to this book as the book to follow.
Okay. I want to, as we now talk about your role in this case and what you did, I want to introduce subject matters, and you tell me if NFPA 921 guide you in those areas. I first want to talk about Mr. Leroy's excavation. Does NFPA 921 provide guidance in the importance of excavation?
Yes, it does.
Let me show you something. Is this a section 18.3.2.3 that discusses excavation and its importance?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, I guess, are we meeting these as an exhibit?
No.
Since we're displaying them to the jury, or?
Again, under 707, it's a learned treatise that Mr. Leroy talked about, and it's used for impeachment of Mr. Leroy because it gives the guidelines that he didn't follow. Thank you. It's not going back as an exhibit. So let's talk about what this section says. Oops. One of these times it's a new pen.
Oh God, death by PowerPoint.
Adequate debris removal is essential for a thorough fire investigation. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Why? Because if you don't do adequate debris removal, there's no way you can articulate the exact cause of the fire without clearing everything and making sure there isn't something else that you didn't uncover that could have been a cause.
We're gonna try this.
Okay. The next part says, one of these times, there we go. Inadequate removal of debris and the resultant exposure of limited portions of fire patterns and other evidence may lead to an incorrect analysis. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Is everybody taught that?
Yes.
That would include Mr. Leroy.
I don't know what training he actually has. He should have had it, yes.
Okay. And then finally, a fire scene investigation normally involves dirty and strenuous work. Acceptance of this fact is essential in conducting a proper fire investigation. Do you agree with that?
I do.
You saw what Mr. Leroy said about how he excavated and his attempt to collect data.
Yes,
Does NFPA 921 speak to that?
yes.
Avoiding presumption. Does NFPA, when we talk about avoiding, what happened? When we talk about avoiding presumption, says no specific hypothesis can be reasonably formed or tested until some data have been collected, right?
Correct.
Because how does that tie into the scientific method?
Well, scientific method says that you have to collect data, analyze the data, test your data, and formulate hypotheses. If you don't have all the data, how can you possibly do that?
And the second section, all hypotheses should be subject to rigorous testing through the scientific method. What do you understand to be rigorous testing?
Rigorous testing is, if you can, try to recreate what you believe happened and do it with physical evidence, deductive reasoning, recreate. So sometimes you can't, for sure. But if there's something that you can do, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to establish that it is right or wrong. You try to disprove whatever you believe that happened. If you can't disprove that, and you have all these other potential hypotheses. If you can disprove, you can eliminate many of them and only have one you can't disprove, then you actually have a cause. But if you have more than one, you can't.
You heard Mr. Leroy testify. You sat in on his testimony, right?
I did.
And you actually read his transcript from his testimony.
I did.
All right. You heard him say you're trying to prove and disprove a hypothesis. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why not?
Well, simply because how can you prove and disprove to start with? You can't do both. If you do both in the same particular scenario, you're trying to collect data and analyze and come to a hypothesis. The idea is if you can't disprove it, then that must be a valid hypothesis.
And NFPA 921 speaks to whether trying to disprove or prove in the scientific method.
Yes.
Is this the section you're referring to, 19.6.4? When testing a hypothesis, the investigator should attempt to disprove rather than confirm the hypothesis.
That's correct.
And as we were talking about documentation and the importance of documentation, does NFPA 921 speak to that?
It does.
That's what doctors do with differential diagnosis. Because again, when you're going into a fire, I have to imagine it's like when your patient comes in with a, cc of, sore throat, chest, coughing up phlegm. It could be an upper respiratory infection. It could be a cold. It could be a virus. It could be a bacteria. It could be allergies. So you go in with all of these diagnoses, or as Mr. Leroy did, it could have been, accidental, like the electrical, intentional, or act of God. So you start off with a differential diagnosis, and then you go through kind of a logic tree. You ask a question. You go through, okay, well, do they have a positive strep test? Were there burnt and, arcing wires? Oh my God. I see Polished Linda is back.
16.1.2,
Yes.
thorough and accurate documentation of the investigation is critical because compilation of factual data is necessary to support and verify investigative opinions and conclusions. How does that affect you in your role? You come in 15 years after a fire inspection, the evidence isn't there, the house isn't there anymore. What's the importance of documentation to you?
Well, it also says in NFPA 921 that when you conduct a fire scene investigation, you have to be able to preserve that investigation, whether you call somebody in before you do any movement and have that other person come in and look at it with you, or you photograph, videograph, diagram, and preserve it as you went along. Like, for example, to do the excavation of debris. You don't just take one picture before you move it and then one picture after. It's an archaeological dig, and you need to document and preserve every aspect of that. Every piece of evidence you find, whether it's of value or not, you have to record it so somebody else can take that same information and they evaluate it.
Okay. Now let's talk about what Mr. Leroy saw at his inspection. Do you recall, this is photograph 62 from Mr. Leroy's photographs. This is what would have been the basement that he said the first floor dropped into?
Yes.
Okay. And can you see the remnants of a basement fireplace?
I'm going to grab the pictures that correspond to that. I'm sorry for having to do this, but my eyesight's pretty good, but what I see in this picture is some of the flue vents for the chimney chases.
That would be
I think
this?
that, yes, and I think that is the fireplace right behind it.
And right here where I'm pointing, would that be the fireplace?
That's the fireplace for the basement.
In the
yes.
basement?
Yes,
Okay,
okay.
so this is the 2 feet of rubble he was talking about throughout. Do you remember how big he said the living room was?
Yes,
About the size of this whole area of the courtroom?
yes.
Yeah.
I was at the scene, but there was nothing there. You know, I went there years later, so I know the dimensions, and I couldn't pinpoint obviously where a living room or any other rooms were, but I agree with that's approximately what it was, and we had diagrams to show that too.
Okay. And then you've seen Mr. McHugh's photographs that we showed?
I did.
I'm going to show you. What Mr. McHugh had said was the amount of excavation that,
Oh, correct,
Done.
guys. It is 5:30 and time for me to end this particular tour of the Petty Express. Sorry about that kind of abrupt end. I didn't realize that it had already gotten that late, mostly because it felt like much later, to be honest with you. It's like, is it 7 p.m.? That being said, the Petty Express will ride again tomorrow. We will finish out day 8, hopefully, and then have all of the fun. I'm trying to see how long this man goes for, but I have a feeling it will feel like longer than it actually was. So thank you guys for joining me for this tour of the Petty Express. I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure if you like news and fun stuff and all of the absurdity on the internet, I have a morning show where I do about an hour of news, headlines, true crime, and the absurd, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, because we still have to deal with daylight savings time for some reason. So if you'd like to look at that, give it a check out. I will see you guys all then tomorrow morning. Have a great night. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness no longer equals doormat. Bye, you guys.